Hello and welcome everyone to CTE Program Review 2018-19. I'm Monica Romero, your host for today, and I hope you enjoy this journey. Hey, Kelsey just joined us. This is awesome. So we're recording. So say hi, Kelsey.
Hey.
In charge of our personal trainer program, just fabulous. All right, so let's get started. Hello everyone, we're gonna get started. Gonna have some fun. No, I'm gonna use my phone. I'm still here. Hey everyone. You got a laptop. Ian says he doesn't need one. You're all good? Fabulous. So we're gonna go through the whole program review module. And this is nice because I want it to be very personal for you. So ask questions. When we're talking about your individual programs, I hope to give you some examples. And really just ask along the way. This is all for you. And when you ask a question, I might repeat it because we're recording this on Zoom via my phone. And hopefully everything will be okay. So, yes, I just did that. I'm going to start walking through each of the components. And I know you've seen some of this before, Janelle, but it's okay. And just as an overview, what we've done is we've integrated Perkins and Strong Workforce into the program review and BARC process. So what I'm going to be highlighting today is not the regular part of program review, but the CTE component. You'll notice on the first tab, so right now we're in task stream, and we're looking at the first tab, program review data and resources. What's really nice is the office has added links to the CTEOS, that's the CTE outcomes survey. This is employment outcomes for students. So you can find some data there that might be helpful for your review. Launchboard, how many of you have Launchboard accounts? Ian, you should. Okay, and we can dive into Launchboard later. I know we do data, Bridget does data workshops and talks about Launchboard there as well. I'm always happy to come and do kind of a one-on-one with you with Launchboard as well. And we also link to the Perkins Core Indicators. How many are not familiar with Perkins Core Indicators? A little bit? You're good? Okay. Kelsey? Okay, cool. Cool beans. So we're going to go into the next tab. This is pretty basic. This is just your general information, but there is one question that says, are you a CTE program? Please mark yes. That will, that helps us identify all of our programs and kind of route the information accordingly through the system, manually though. Faculty and staff, there's nothing particular here for CTE. Just include everybody, please. Do you all know where to get this information? A lot of it's on the dashboards that the research office has developed. Part-time, full-time, all of that. Oh, wonderful. Peggy's joining us. Come on in. Program mission. In this section, there's not any specific CTE area, so go ahead and plug your mission. Hopefully you've updated it too. So now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. So the first things are nice and easy. Look, you're halfway through. So we're going to go into the program overview. And I like just to pull up, I don't even have to check it out to mess up Anda. I can just open it up. And you're going to see the generic areas in the beginning, meaning that's for all the programs to fill out. And then you see the following questions are for CTE programs only. This is you. Yes, you do. You can't skip it. You'll get in trouble by program review police. So the two questions that are listed here, and again, all these questions are verbatim. You hear me say this over and over again, but I've got to say it over and over again so everybody knows we're not making stuff up. From Perkins, required information and or Strong Workforce required questions. So these are not Monica or CTE or Mesa made up questions. For each question that comes up, if it is related to Perkins, there is a designator that'll say PN, meaning Perkins narrative, and question 1B. This way, those of you that are familiar with the Perkins forms that we've been using in our district for a while can go back to your prior information and be able to pull it and see it and see how you responded previously. And for those of you that are new and have not done Perkins before, when it's time to do the Perkins application, because you will still have to do it, you can just go in and copy and paste from this section. There is one thing I want to note is that the Perkins core indicators for 18 and 19 are currently up, but for 1920 they are not. We don't know the timeline, whether they'll be ready. Usually we try to have those ready for the Perkins report. Some of those indicators don't change a lot over time. Sometimes they do, so you might have to make a few modifications. The state is looking at trying to sync up Perkins with the, even though it's federal, Perkins with the state strong workforce and all the metrics, really trying to sync all those together so we're not having to duplicate like we currently do. So both of these questions, again, are straight from the narrative. I know that Tina Ricaldi does Perkins training, and so I highly recommend you go there because she'll talk about your indicators, what it means, how to answer the questions. So this is more about where to find the questions and how it relates to overall program review. Yes. Yes. And I think I'm going to be there as well, I believe, just to kind of tie it. We're trying to tie it all together, trying to be integrated. So for this section, does anybody have any questions? I see yes, please. Okay, that's a great question. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back home, all the way home. So when you log into TaskStream, you're going to see, you'll see a lot of stuff in mine. You're going to see, hopefully, your program listed. I'm going to hop down to where I'm playing around in the sandbox. And so you're all instructional programs, and you're going to go into Instructional Program Review 2018-19 Comprehensive. That's where you want to be. Okay, so, hello. Help you ground. Let me attend you. What's your and so for those of you listening to this recording, if you don't have access, let Anda know. Great question. So you're not seeing some of these areas, Kelsey, is that correct? All right. So you can come back to this wonderful recording when you're ready, and you're there and here. So we just covered program overview. Is it okay to move on? All right, I just want to make sure. I know you had a question on your face, but you okay? No. Yes. It's small. I'll try to enlarge the screen. I'll try to up the screen a little bit here. So now I'm going into curriculum component. And this is not making it any bigger. Not really. Sorry about that. The first section, again, is the regular program review questions that need to be answered. And then the following, again, for CTE only. If you do not see a PN, meaning Perkins narrative, that means it's strong workforce. We decided not to have to recode it. Strong workforce, you don't have to do a separate application for like you do Perkins. What I'm going to do is just pull all your information out of program review. So this is one time. Yes. Hey, believe you me, it makes it easier for me too. Because we don't have to make new forms. You don't have to fill out new forms. We're all golden. Wait till we get to BARC. That's when it really gets exciting. Okay, nobody took me seriously. Exciting, good. How many of you have benefited from strong workforce funding? 100% in the room. So I'm just saying, it's all good. Yeah, I think we got some demo stuff coming this year. That I don't know. Okay. Strong workforce funded. Just saying. Because we're not doing a because we're not doing a specific strong workforce training with the questions. If you do have questions in this section, let me know. A lot of these are pretty straightforward. Some of them do seem a little duplicative, but that's blame it on the state. That's all I gotta say. Yes, you can. Please be my guest. I will point out that this is asking for top codes. What does that stand for? Taxonomy of programs. Woo! And what's really nice is in the directions, there is a link to the taxonomy of programs list. So you can go there and find your program. Additionally, where did my little page go? It asks for your SOC code. Anybody know what SOC codes stand for? I'm forgetting the S too, but occupational codes. Standard occupational codes, standard. And that's what's used by the federal government. So again, right here, we have a link to SOC codes. So all is good in code land. There you go. The one thing that is not here, and man, I keep forgetting to do this, is the sector associated with your program. I'm in the process of pulling that list together. Sectors are what the state has identified as like advanced manufacturing, health. The three of you are under health, done and over with. Ian, I think this sounds odd. I think you fall in business. Because I don't think there's one. Yeah, or if I'll find out, but we will eventually have the list here. Oh, great, we have more participants. Don't be sorry. It's okay. It's all good. There's a sign-in. Do you all want a computer? Oh, you got one? Okay. We're just going through the sections. And I mentioned Tina's doing a Perkins training on Monday. So she's going to dive into the Perkins questions that are in program review. And you've done it before, right? Perkins before? Okay. And you've heard my spiel that all these questions are from Perkins? Okay, cool. My spiel. I'm glad it's recorded. Now you don't have to hear me spiel anymore. So the sectors and your health sector. So health, your health. Ian, I can double check on yours. Very simple questions here for CTE programs. We just got done doing the curriculum component, and we can circle back at the end for really program overview is really the only main one you missed. Is it okay to go on to outcomes and assessment? And what's really nice in this section, there's no CTE questions. You just fill it out like you regularly would. I know. Look, we're 2/3 of the way through. Come on, this is fantastic. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for you. So now we get down to the really fun part. After you've looked at all your data, you've had the nice discussions with your faculty, maybe some of your students, maybe your employer, your advisory boards, you get to analyze your program, right? That's the crux of it all. So in Analyze Program, of course, you have the general area, and then we have actually two. So this question is for CTE programs and services. And I'm really sorry that this is hard to say. I tried to enlarge it, but it's not liking me. The first one is actually from, again, Perkins Narrative, PN 2A, so the question number 2, question A. And it does have a character limit of 500, so you can be brief. And that is the limitations from the state. It's actually very short because, yeah, I tried to enlarge it. Hold on, we're going to try to enlarge. Go for it. Yeah. Oh, look, Anna's showing me something fun. Is that better? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. It's okay. We can all talk. They can capture this fun stuff. So for CTE programs only, number of jobs available, San Diego County, number of other institutions offering the program, how many Mesa students completed the program in the last 3 years, and pay rate. A lot of this you can find on Launchboard. A large majority you can find in Launchboard. Well, for jobs, you're probably going to have a delay. We're talking Launchboard. Well, I don't think they're going to go that high for jobs.
but institutions offering the program should be there. Okay. Okay, great. So the dashboard does have that. I don't think it's got the pay rates for industry. We can go to Centers for Excellence. So this is one, I think when Bridget's doing a little bit more of the data piece, we can dive into it. And if we are having trouble finding it, let me know, and maybe we can provide better resources. Yes. You could say the data is not currently available. You recently did a labor market study not too long ago, so I'd go pull your labor market, even though it's, well, you got the, how many students completed the program. Other institutions is that listed unless for that one. So it's really the number of jobs and the pay rate, huh? If you go into actually ONET, which is ONET online, is probably the best place to find that information. You can look by your SOC code in ONET and get that information. And I think you can drill down, I don't know if you can drill down to San Diego County, but I know you can drill down to the state of California. Yeah, that one's always a little tricky. And that's Perkins, and Perkins doesn't provide access to that data really. Notice this is CTE services only, so this is not any of you. This is like our career center, okay? And then this one, programs and services. Should probably remove the word only, huh? This one is where we ask you to upload reports from Launchboard. Because in Strong Workforce, you have to, we're required to address metrics. Here are the metrics that Strong Workforce currently assesses. They are going to change next year, of course. Well, they're trying to align them with the student success equity. They're trying to get all the metrics aligned, so they're not all separate. But this is what we need right now. And so you can determine which three of these you want to report on. Please make sure those are the three you're trying to move the needle on, though. Does that make sense? Make sure those are three that you're trying to address in your program improvement. So if you're trying to increase your number, if you're not trying to increase your number of enrollments, maybe that's not a good metric for you to use. Because really what we are measured on is the metrics we identify as wanting to improve for our program. Does that make sense? Ian, are you sure? Okay, I wasn't sure on this. I'm trying to read body language. But it's really easy to go into Launchboard and just print a PDF, and you're going to upload that PDF. Same thing happens for the Perkins core indicators. You know how to log into, if you haven't logged into the Perkins core indicator, the link is on the data, from the data page. You go in, select your program by top code. Remember, found the top code earlier. So you go in by top code, pull the most recent year, and it's going to provide you a whole list of data, really disaggregated by race, ethnicity, gender, things like disadvantaged status, veterans, disability, and you're just going to PDF that and upload that as well. So these last two questions are uploading data reports from our two data sources that the state provides for us and that we're required to report on and move our programs forward on. Go to the most recent in Launchboard. Yep. 1 year. 1 year. 1 year, 3 metrics for Strong Workforce. Yes. Yeah. It's very difficult. Now for your program, I'm thinking retention, right? Right, so transfer is not going to apply to, well, it'll apply to you, Ian, maybe Kelsey too, if they're still building up. The employment ones are maybe ones you want to start looking at and focusing in on. And so maybe it's employment as well. Oh, that one's supposed to be quarters. Oh, there's a typo. I'm sorry. This one should be quarters after exit. I apologize. I never noticed that before. So quarters. So does that make sense? Right. I mean, is that a goal for you all right now? I know you're trying to increase clinical sites, but I would say for this year, not. So actually, I think that would apply because when you get, right, enrollment piece, because when you get to the project plan, you're going to be asking for funds for those, asking for funds for the equipment that you need to run that class. Yeah. Right. And you might flatline in your enrollment because the clinical sites piece, but at least that's what you're looking for the funding and support with. You nailed it. That was good. I honestly have a hard time with the earnings piece because a lot of that is off. We are influences, we're variables in that, but we're not the final piece, like transfer, right? But it does help if maybe your program doesn't have a lot of work-based learning components in it, and so you integrate more of that. I know you got your DCPs that maybe you're doing a little bit more with industry tours, getting students out there, getting them to different networking events or having different networking events, so that's building more networks for them for employment in the future. No, that's what we're here for. Yes, you can. This metric is really difficult because right now it's taken from the CTEOS, which is the CTE Employment Outcome Survey. And it's self-reported by students, and we are debating the validity, not the validity of the data, but how they're asking some of the questions, because sometimes a student, not so much in your field, but sometimes, say they're an accounting major and they go work at Qualcomm. Well, sometimes they'll get coded as working in technology and not working in accounting, but they're working in the accounting department at Qualcomm. And so there's a little bit of disconnect sometimes in the data because the way they come to the earnings and job growth related to field of study, all of that is two prongs. One is working with EDD and students who, or employers who are reporting employees' earnings, right? But that can be coded not necessarily by the job, but by the industry. So there's a disconnect there. Then, as I mentioned, the CTEOS survey is self-reported, and so sometimes students don't self-report. And then, Kelsey, for you, you have an industry where there's a lot of independent contractors, and so that is even more difficult to garner that information from. So if you look at your data and you have seen kind of an uptick, then maybe it's getting recorded properly enough. They believe between the EDD and the CTEOS data pieces that we're maybe getting a 65 to 75% picture, which is better than what we used to get, which was nothing. I don't know if that quite answers your question. Those wage information and related to your field of study are very difficult to track because of FERPA or confidentiality, you know, with taxes and everything, and then with self-reported information. We are trying to work on systems for the college to better track alumni, which would help with that, but that's not going to be ready for another year probably. Does that kind of help you with some of the metrics you might want to look at for a little bit? That makes it even more difficult. So what happens is it just gets averaged into everything, so it inflates the lower and deflates the higher. Well, I wouldn't hang your, well, it won't, you don't have to worry about that for Perkins. This one is for strong workforce. Don't stress. Seriously. Pick the one that you think you're having the most impact on. Even if the tracking might be off, we can always address the fact that, hey, within this top code, we've got, and the state knows that, and again, these are going to change in a year. And so, yeah, but there are things to think about for your program, like requesting funds to get more equipment for more clinical placements. I mean, that's a beautiful kind of linear way to think through to get to it. That's a good conversation. Thank you. Ian, you can do transfer, no problem. I'd grab that one for you. I would grab transfer for you, your program. And I'd also grab for your enrollment because of all the outreach you're doing. So just my recommendations. You can do what you want to do. And knowing what you all are involved in, or kind of know. So that's program analysis. Program goals. These are not CTE questions. You're developing your goals. These are your larger overarching goals for your program that you've established, like getting more clinical placements might be one of them, or like you've done increasing your K through 12 or your high school pathways, and that might be one of your goals that you're working on. When you're in your goals, the important thing here is the mapping. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to hop in. Sorry, I got to check this one out. This is when it gets super fun. Is it okay if I just grab anyone? Okay. Oh, wait, I'm going to go back. Go back. Wait. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this right. Ha, 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 ha. No. Ha, ha, ha. Okay. Oh, crappy crew. They're small. I'm sorry. In the goals mapping, and we've experienced this one before, is there are 4 areas to map. You can see at the top, it says Perkins requirements. So for your Perkins funding, you always have to map to the different requirements of Perkins. You can't just get Perkins for anything. So you're going to end up mapping to at least one of these. Sometimes it's more. So Perkins requirements 1. Permissive uses. This is the only way you can use Perkins funds, right? So sometimes it's 1, sometimes it may be more. You're going to notice the numbers here. These relate directly, actually even in the requirements, directly to Perkins coding. So this is how it's always been set up. You used to have a spreadsheet with it would be like, yes, that spreadsheet right there. You've got it. Yes. And then there was an additional page that was elongated, and I was going to try to find it. It kind of looked like this. There were check boxes. I think this is a service area one. This is all related to, all pulled right out of here. So it's just a different format. How about that? Just a different format to map. Okay. Okay. Yeah. You haven't had the joy of experiencing it yet. So you're going to have permissive uses. This is how you can use your Perkins funds. Then these are your core indicator activities. So if you're doing something that's happening more with placement, so maybe it is the DCP component, right? Maybe it's more credentials and certificates and degrees. That's more degrees and certificates. The persistence of transfer, Ian, that might be you, I think, if you was transfer. So again, you have to map these 3 Perkins areas. You always have had to, still have to. And requirements. Requirements, permissive uses, core indicators. And then the last one is the strong workforce. Strong workforce only has 1 set to map to. And these are all they're not all, there's actually 25 strong workforce recommendations, but some of them are college-wide or regional-wide, so we didn't include them in here because you're not going to map to them. They're infrastructure things and all of that. So we only put in the ones that really apply to your programs. And for some of you, you might be mapping to more than one. I know it's very difficult to see. Now there is, I'm going to show you really quick. Oh, where might it be in this section? I know you just added it. And where did you put that loveliness? Where you put the list. Ah. Everything's under the direction. Oh, wait. Oh, on the website. On the program review website, there is the full list of all the CTE indicators to map to. So you can print out that list and like check off or highlight what you're linking to. Does that make sense? So everything I just showed you on a page, we have pulled out. Thank you very much. And made available for you, so it's a little bit more easy. So just to kind of go back, I'm in the mapping section. Are you all familiar with mapping your goals in general? So you'll create a new goal. When you create a new goal, it'll look like this. When you map, you will map, I'm going to do this, to all these things. So as CTE, we got a little bit extra because you're going to map to strategic goals and directions of Mesa College. You're going to map to the institutional learning outcomes and then to those 4 CTE indicators. Everything's integrated. I think that's sweet. Actually, what I'm really excited, we're all very excited about is we'll be able to run a report and see all the programs and everything you've mapped to in CTE, which will be really neat to kind of bring together a nice report. It's like kind of an added bonus for us to really show the district and ourselves what we're doing in terms of Perkins and strong workforce and maybe areas that we aren't addressing. Maybe there's some requirements that none of us are hitting in all of our programs and we don't know about, and we might wonder why. So the strong workforce is in here. It's the last one at the bottom. I apologize that it's hard to see. This is the strong workforce. There you go. So all of them are right here for CTE. No extra clicks. And we can thank Anda for that because she put it all together like 5 times for me. Kept changing my mind. So those are your program goals. These are not the questions from Perkins or Strong Workforce regarding your project plans. Sorry about that. So you'll see a link here for action plans, non-CTE programs. Unless, and I'm going to throw this out there, if you don't want Perkins and Strong Workforce funds, don't do any of this. You're nuts, but don't do any of it. That's totally fine. You're not nuts. We actually have 1 or 2 programs that are thinking they don't want to this year, which is a shame. Because we really like to know, you should really look at all that data for your programs in CTE, whether you're going for funding or not. But we get to do project plans instead of the action plan. Don't do both. Yes, so skip one. Non-CTE, CTE. Okay. So now I'm going to do the little export to Word so we can see a little better. Okay. Can I? Where's my? Thank you. All right, I'm trying to get into here. There we go. So this is also divided into Perkins and Strong Workforce, just because the questions were different enough, we couldn't bring them together. So you'll see Strong Workforce. These are Strong Workforce questions. Your project and your project outcomes. So this gets, I will say it gets a little odd feeling, because basically you're taking all your goals and activities and you're explaining the one big project you're going for funding. Question? Mm-hmm. So one of your goals might be more efficient maintenance on your equipment, keeping it up to date. So keeping your program at industry standards might be kind of one of your line items in your project outcomes, because here's not where you're going to put the money. You're going to put the money in the BARC request, okay? But these questions are still needed. So here, this section is a lot of where your BARC request, which is BARC, Perkins, and Strong Workforce all together, really, and the narrative that goes with it. Does that make sense? And I'm making hand gestures that you can't see. I'm still talking on the phone. Hopefully it's still recording. And I'm going to show you all Bark at the end. Log in, and I can kind of show you that area too. So, as a non-CTE person, well, you wouldn't be answering this section. See, in the action plan, you're doing actions that are going to meet your goals, right? This is the same type of thing, except they're not individual actions to meet your individual goals. It's one big project to meet your goals. Some of the goals that you have may not need funding or may not need to apply to, if there's something that you're not really looking for funding for and it isn't applying and addressing the core indicators, maybe those goals, you don't need to map them, first of all, to CTE and strong workforce if they're really not applicable to Perkins and strong workforce funding. And I know that sounds kind of weird. Sometimes some of your goals is just time and it's not paid time, or maybe it's a reorg, but you really, I think, would rather just make this a complete package and put everything in there. So your project plan and outcomes, industry standard, provide our students industry standard equipment that provides opportunities for more directed clinical placements to increase enrollment. I mean, you can string, basically everything should be connected anyway, so it's kind of you string it all together. And if you've written Perkins before, that's kind of what you've done. You've made one big glumpy plan that has all these individual expenses that go with it, or costs. Yes, you've got it. I will apologize. What needs motivate this project? So this might go back to our we're not getting enough directed clinical placements because we don't have state-of-the-art equipment. We need some ESUs to develop supporting materials for our students that aren't provided anywhere else, that are outside of curriculum development. I always have to be careful of that. So the needs are really hitting to the metrics you're trying to address. I don't know why they just don't say that. Describe associated risks. I love this one. Risks could be, the market is volatile, so we don't know what's going to happen in the next year. That might be a really valid one, or a risk might be if we don't get the funding, we can't make this happen and nothing's going to improve in our program. I mean, that's kind of a little bit of a cop-out, but an example. The investment, and this is where it hits to the metrics, even though what needs motivate this project. Kind of similar. Remember I said, you said, could you cut and paste later? Cut and paste and modify, because these questions are very, very similar. The investment we're making in equipment, we're investing in new faculty, we're investing in facilities, we're investing in industry partnerships, we're investing in K-12 pathways, and that type of thing. And major activities and outcomes, this can be high level, and I love the fact that it's outcomes here and outcomes here. I don't know why it's repeated. I'm giving you my honest opinion on these questions. But so major activities might be some of those high level things that you listed in your goals, or activities that would support those goals. So recruiting new faculty and new places you want to recruit faculty. Maybe if your faculty pool, your adjunct pool is not where you want it to be. Soliciting new employers for clinical practice. Kelsey, maybe it's more networking for your students to have more pathways. Maybe it's increasing your advisory boards for your students, so you've got a broader scope for your advisory boards, different things. To the best of your ability. They don't have word count limitations, but we definitely can be short and brief. No need for a dissertation or a thesis here. In this section, this is Perkins, as it indicates. So directly out of the Perkins narrative. These do have limitations on them, 500 characters, 2,000. Tina would dive more into these. Some of these are very, very, very closely related to the strong workforce questions. They just varied enough that we couldn't ask them, and we tried to combine questions, so that was really fun. And just one word here, there did not work. So take a look at what you did for strong workforce, or vice versa. Maybe you write the Perkins section first and you pull it out for strong workforce. You're not needing to really re-dive into everything, because again, it's looking at one big project plan for strong workforce and Perkins, which is probably the same. It's just how you word it to answer the specifics of the question. Yes. It matches the, yes, you're answering, writing to the test, writing to the rubric, if you will. Strong Workforce is state and Perkins is federal. But Perkins is federal, but is monitored by the state. Yes, it is confusing. So we actually have to go through the state for our Perkins fund, and then our state monitor approves or disapproves our Perkins funding. Yes. So this is a really good question. So let's take a moment, we're going to pause, and talk about how it's going to work this year. So this is the first year that we've integrated all three, meaning BARC is the other part. So BARC is the Budget and Resource Allocation Committee, and they use end-of-year funding to fund different needs on campus that have been identified. Usually it's one-time funding, but you'll see within BARC when I show you that you can also ask for increased, you can ask, the right word, for increased like 4,000 and 5,000 object codes, your conference and travel, your supplies and all of that. Because the college really should be paying for those things, those are not things you should have to be asking for every year to have enough supplies for your dental students or your food for your animals or whatever the case may be. Perkins and Strong Workforce are there for program improvements on your metrics, different things. Not sustaining a program, that's called supplanting. We can't supplant things the college is supposed to take care of. So what's going to happen this year, we're very excited, is everybody, meaning all the Strong Workforce and all the Perkins and everyone else, is going to have one place to put their request in for money. Then the BARC committee, utilizing their current rubric system, is going to rank them how they've always ranked all of the requests that come through. That's why it's important to put everything in here. They're going to rank all the requests. At the same time, Perkins and Strong Workforce are going to go through and identify what we can pay for. Because with Perkins, you can only pay for things for 3 years in a row. Again, with all of these, you can't supplant. So there's all these different levels of restrictions with the funding. So we're going to go and identify first with Perkins. You still have to do the Perkins form when it comes time. They're still going to have the Perkins committee to review everything like they always have this year. And I say this year because we're going to look at see how the BARC rankings and the Perkins rankings match, because if they're in alignment, then do we need two processes? We don't know. Does that make sense? Yes, college-wide. So college-wide, they're going to rank everything, but we're going to identify what Perkins and Strong Workforce can pay for. What's happened the last 2 years in a row is Strong Workforce has actually been able to sweep everything that BARC and Perkins couldn't pay for that doesn't fall out of our requirement, which has been nice, and we've had the funding to do that. We believe as time goes on and funding changes and our fixed costs get more, there's less Strong Workforce to have available, so we might get to a point where we can't just grab everything and pay for the rest of it. But that's so Strong Workforce, so BARC comes first, but Perkins is kind of really coincides with it because we don't want BARC paying for something that Perkins can pay for, because once BARC pays for it, Perkins can never do it again. So we try to get the new things that Perkins can grab. So it kind of happens simultaneously. In theory, this is the first year it's all coming together, and then Strong Workforce waits for everything to settle down, and then we come in. So I'm actually doing Strong Workforce allocations right now from program reviews last year, just because we had to wait till all of the purchase orders and recs came through. And you know how you put something in and it's $5,000, and by the time you get the revised quote, so now it's $8,000, and now Perkins or BARC said they could pay for it. Now they can't because it's gone up too much. Then we find out about it and we're like, okay, well, we can grab it. So it's a shuffle game. So the goal is, it's not about the money. It's about what do you need to improve your program. And what we try to do is find the money and make it happen. That's our end goal. Too late for Perkins and Strong Workforce. So you've got to put everything in there. Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. So one thing that Perkins and Strong Workforce doesn't do is it doesn't fund positions. So no, I'll show you where you put faculty into. Contract faculty, adjunct faculty, contract staff do not go into BARC, okay? The only thing we can really work on in BARC in regards to people is ESUs, the Extended Service Units, for special projects, and NANCs. That's the place where you can put it. Ian knows this. He's got a NANC. Kelsey's got a NANC too. The two of you have NANCs this year. It's exciting. What are those? NANCs are non-academic, non-contract employees. So, yeah, it's basically an hourly classified position. So, but you're getting an ILT. Now you're getting one. No, it's not. That's a contract position. And now Ian, who filled out a CHP last like 5 years, is getting a contract position finally too. So it does pay off in the end. It really does. Does that make sense on the funding with BARC? And when we get to the form, it might make a little more sense, might not. I like to say this is all in theory though, because it's the first time we're doing it. Gonna see if it works. Get a whole campus process down, which would be nice. So we are still in program plans. There is a section that says service only, so this is not any of you. Okay, so all you have to do is put NA for that section. This is for like tutoring, career center, things like that. We don't supplant, but if we had an animal health tutor, that would be new. Yes, yes. And actually, I need to connect you with Danielle and Christine because we're meeting with tutoring in a week or so. So maybe you could be part of that. Mark? Yes. Yes. So maybe you can join that meeting. That would be good. Sorry, I digress. Delete that from the recording. Okay. So that's the program plan section. One thing that happens, now usually the goals are connected to action plans, right? The system does that. So your goals are not going to be automatically connected to your project plans, but I don't think that's an issue for us. Just fill out your project plans. Again, we'll see how this goes this year. Okay, the project plans is probably the biggest one besides BARC. Closing the loop, just real quick on closing the loop, this is where you indicate if you received funding the previous year. So see how it says Strong Workforce and it says Perkins. So you indicate what you received, where you received the funds from, and how it's benefited your students. You can really relate it to, I mean, you put in why you were requesting it in the first place. So you can, hey, Ian made his outreach packets. I can't wait to see those. Okay, I'm excited. Yes. No, it does not. That's a good question. Now, Perkins, that would be different, but it's through BARC. Good question, though. And I'm sorry, I don't know you. What's your name? Hi, Scott. I'm Monica Romero. Nice to meet you. Well, we didn't cover action plans because our CTE folks don't do action plans. They do project plans. And we're happy to have you here. That's wonderful. We like it anytime anybody outside of CTE learns about CTE, don't we? Yes, we do. Yes. So you'll get a little bit of BARC right now. Want to make sure I get to the FHP and CHP. So before I do BARC, I wanted to get to that faculty position question. Yeah. Yes, I heard about your meeting last night. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. But Sean was there. So if you want to request faculty, that's why I said it loud. If you want to request faculty, you want to do your faculty position request. There is a link to, there's a rubric. I'm not going to do the training. You need to go to an FHP training, and they'll talk all about it. But this is where you request your contract faculty. If you're looking for a classified contract position, Kelsey, Janelle, this is maybe where you want to start doing that. There is a we call it CHP training as well. that you can do. And if you have questions, let me know because I'm on that committee as well. Yes, that's where you are asking for a full-time contract, or, well, you could ask for 50%, but this is where, right. And what you could do for your program is if you wanted it for fitness trainer and they also wanted it in exercise science, you put it in both places. What Ian has so smartly done in the last 3 years is architecture, interior design, and construction management all put the exact same CHP request in, but tweaked some of the parts to reflect more of their program data. So that strengthened the request because the request actually, even though it's for the same position, it gets, each one gets graded on the rubric. And we've actually had programs that didn't work well together and tried to do a joint position, and one was like, and the other one was great, and so it came in the middle. That's another reason Allied Health got one, is because all the different programs. So it's a great place to request the contract position. Doesn't mean you're going to get one, but I seriously, I think I've seen Ian's 5 years in a row. It does pay off eventually. Yes, eventually. It's hard because we don't get new monies for staff positions. It's only when usually somebody retires or there's a permanent new funding source. Yeah. All right, bark time. Yay! I'm going to hop in. What time? Oh, 3:55. I love you all. This is going to be quick, though. How can I move this? No, I already logged in. Yeah. Okay. Let's try. Okay. Actually, maybe I'll go back one. There's a link in Program Review for BARC. And BARC will do a full training, but I'll just do a real quick piece. When you log in, there's a link to enter your request. There are directions, read them, you all can read. One-time requests are a lot of what you're doing for Strong Workforce in Perkins. And when you do that, that starts the whole process of why you're describing the item. I'm sorry, now I've made it too big. Okay. How it'll be used to impact the program. You can copy this from the questions you've already answered, right? It does get into if it's equipment, where it's going to reside. Sometimes you need equipment and you need training, so there's two different BARC requests. That's why it's connected. Thank you, Tessie. It asks for different, again, they're going to go into detail on all this. I'm actually going to scroll to, is this for CTE? If you hit yes, boom, we get more questions. Yay. Correct. If you can get quotes for all of them and bring them together and put them all as one package, I do it all as one package. Does that make sense? Yep. Yes. Work with Jacqueline Collins. Definitely. Is it a minor or is it a large? Let me scroll back up to answer this question. See, there's a facilities request here. And when you click on facilities request, it does ask a number of different questions that are different than the one-time funds. Budget augmentation. There's not CTE in budget augmentation, but please ask for it because we're really trying to work with Lorenz on, again, augmenting budget so you properly have enough money to have for supplies, because you shouldn't have to be asking every year for Perkins and Strong Workforce for supply money to run your program. It should be for new equipment, updated facilities, new parts of your program, all that, not the day-to-day working. Yes, yes. Sometimes we've had people fill out 10 times, and it's okay. Just go ahead. Each item, now if you have a vendor in which you get 7 or 8 different items from, do it all in one. That's, unless you really feel like you have a priority of them, like this is number 1 on my list and this is number 7 on my list, I would take number 1 and make it separate so that you know that, but it also depends on the amount of money too. If, you've got some really high-end items, you might want to break it out. versus you've got a bunch of smaller items that could really package together because the request itself will be all approved or all denied normally. So and if you want to talk about it, you can talk about it with Tina, maybe too, and department chairs, and see the best way to approach it. You know them a little, you know your programs and your needs, of course, better. Software would be a one-time request. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Kind of, sort of, because it's not an ongoing augmentation, right? But then if you ask for it next year and then next year and next year, like Strong Workforce will fund you one time, and Perkins can fund you up to 3 times. So, right. But if you play it right, okay, Perkins got you 3 years, maybe Strong Workforce. Well, really, Strong Workforce would come first because we'd be supplanting Perkins if we came next. But yeah, this is the juggle that we try to, and this is what Tina and Deneen and I try to look at when we're looking at all the requests. Like, what's the better navigation for this program to give it the best longevity in terms of continued program improvement funding. Oh, I am so glad you asked that. Okay, so for Strong Workforce, you don't need to put in any requests for conference and travel. We've dumped $25,000 into conference and travel into the CAT committee. So you can go, yeah, we got to send out an email. So and you can do that now, because it seems ridiculous that every year you had to put in for conference and travel. Just kind of asinine. And if these are required conferences to keep your accreditation, that should be part of your regular budget. You shouldn't have to be asking for that every year because it's something required to fund the program. So I would put that actually in budget augmentation so that it's a standard item for you. So look at it that way. But right now, you go through the CAT committee. We're really trying to integrate into campus processes, make the normal process. So for conference and travel, there's an online form that you fill out for CAT. And we fund $1,000, up to $1,000, give or take, per person at minimum, up to the $25,000 that we have. So we figured that would get us pretty far. If you do have something special for accreditation, we'll work with you on that because it's a little bit different. But hopefully that seemed to be, $1,000 seemed to be an average for cost for a lot of what we were seeing coming through this past year. So that's why we put it there. No, $1,000. Like, so if you came in the fall and we awarded you $1,000 to go to a conference, if you asked for it in the spring, we'd say we want to spread it around. We want to give somebody else a chance. And this also helps with the fact that sometimes you don't know the conferences and travel when you're doing Bark and Perkins, right? You're missing out. And then it comes up and it's like, well, you didn't go through the process, you didn't apply, we can't really fund you. That we just took it out of that equation so you can just access it that way. Perkins, you can still request it for, but for Strong Workforce, you don't need to. Well, now put it through CAT. Put it through CAT. And do it right now. CAT, the Conference and Travel Committee. Yep. Just go right there, request it. Excellent. Excellent.
I have a question about my IO federal is an argument for license for that. It's required, but
that's not true. Who told you that? Calcify can go. Yeah. So have her apply through CAT. There is this awkward balance. Is it that your personal self are required to have it, or does your program require the person doing it to have it? We have to make sure that we're not paying for professional development or your own licensure that is your own and not needed for the college. It might be a bonus, right? Those sometimes are a little difficult. I would say it's based on more your accreditation, which I know you're going. So based on your accreditation you're applying for, you might want to take a look at that. Yeah. Have her apply through CAT. Right. And then sometimes, I think I recently had somebody that was going to a sonogram conference or something, and they got like they got CUs for going. I'm like, don't talk about those. Talk about why you're going for your program. And if you got those on the side, you got those on the side. I mean, that's okay. You're going for your program, not for those. If you say you're going for those and you're going for those, then it's a no-go. Yeah, you got to pay for that. Yeah, Carol she should be fine. Oh, I remember that conversation too. And it's very important. What happens is AFT gives your department money for faculty. They don't give it for staff. So that may have been where, yeah. And Kat will also always ask about your department funds if you're using those funds and whatnot. Of course. So I will kind of wrap this up because I've got another appointment too, and we want to keep. And Bart will do a training, and I hope to be there. But I want to give you a hint. CTE, has this been previously purchased by Perkins? You have to scroll. There it is. Yeah, the first time, the second time, I'm like, you didn't put the yes/no buttons. Oh yeah, they're there. And if you said yes, oh, what happened? Sorry about this. What years? So this is helping us with the 3-year thing. Has it been purchased by another funding source? And I think I have to make this modification. What years is supposed to also say what fund, what source. This is where you want to check all the types of activities you're trying to fund. I know the professional development is here, and that still might be, maybe you have a speaker coming in, but you can do that through the Campus Employee Learning Committee, in which $10,000 is there from Strong Workforce as well. So that is more, that doesn't have a limit. That's more like, hey, we want to bring a speaker in, and hopefully it's a little more global than your program, and it's for your faculty, not for your students. It's not student funding. You will see another list here yet again of Perkins permissive uses. So please mark the permissive uses for this request, which might be a lot of them. It's out of date, not industry standard. It is non-industry standard, and we're not, oh my God, that's horrid. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, this is absolutely where you want to do that. Yeah. And software too. If software has changed, if it's like just the same software and a new license for another year, and Perkins can pay for it if it hasn't been 3 years. Strong Workforce won't, that's the planting. If it's software that's had a significant change, that's different. Does that make sense? Because that is new. So we're in BARC. We're in the BARC. We're under the one-time request, and we're in the CTE area. I know it's a little bit of a deep dive. Strong Workforce too. More than likely, BARC will pass it to Perkins if it's CTE. But if the campus has paid for it before, or Perkins has done 3 years, then BARC might grab it. But what's nice is you don't have to determine the funding source. We do. Yeah, just put it all in here. Oh, Lord. Well, there is only one place. This is it. This is where you put it. This is where you put it. You want to put all your equipment, material needs, everything into the BARC form. Because BARC form has the CTE, Perkins, and Strong Workforce questions. Put everything. So you will have to go get your quotes like you've had to in the past. You will fill out this form and you will upload your quotes. So that was kind of like a question before. It depends. If you've got a CT scanner, which is probably mega expensive, and it's a high priority, I would put that as single. Maybe you've got some new dental molds. I'm just pulling stuff out of my head, right? Dental molds, and they're costing $30, $40 each, and you need 20 of them, and you need maybe a bunch of new, I don't know, mouth guardy thingies. I I'm sorry, I'm just trying to look for something. And they're all from one vendor. You could try to put them all in one if they're a group, because the amount is small enough. You know, you're maybe talking maybe $2,000. You could probably get it all in one and save your time and energy instead of saying, mouth guards did the whole form. You know, mold did the whole form. It's kind of, but it's up to you how you want to approach it. If you really want to truly prioritize everything and you have a priority of what you want and you're like, I got to get this item, that I would definitely list singularly, even if it's small at that point, if that's like your top item.
Did we list the items, the vendor, the price on the Word document, 5 or 6 things, and then make it back?
Not with the current BARC form, and this is BARC committee part, so there is a place where you put the cost per item, how many you want, so it pretty much lays it out like you're entering the quote information here. That would be the actual quote from the company. Right, yes. So you know how it says cost per item? Say you've got 5 items. Average the cost of the 5 items, put the cost per item as 1, 5, and that way your molds and your mouth guards are together. Say you're getting the same amount of each, right? You're getting 3 different items, so you total up the cost for the 3 items. Yeah, a little bit easier. I would highly recommend that. It makes it easier. It looks like there's places they made 3 file uploads. So you could do that if you wanted to, but I think 1 makes it easier for Mark. Good question. All right, oh my gosh, it's 4:10. So you all, mark the permissive uses, individual CTE programs versus multiple, like if you're sharing, that might have been like allied health. And some of these questions, again, are from BARC and Strong Workforce. And we can go into another time deeper into BARC. I'm just going to say it like that. We'll go have BARC fun later on. I did the stop, I think.